Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much to all of those who are live watching us in the audience from wherever you are. I am so thrilled to dive into this conversation today that is super near and dear to my heart personally with some panelists and our new friend, Rosalind. These individuals started as team colleagues and are now very, very dear friends of mine. I would love to also acknowledge a recent learning opportunity that Alpha National had. We received some very constructive feedback from some chapter members of ours in Chicago on this very event and topic. Throughout this week, you all may have seen some promotion floating around, only highlighting these individuals and myself. And while our intention around this event originally was to level set and share the personal experiences of those of us on the panel, some of our members thought that it would be beneficial and more appropriate to incorporate a licensed professional to our conversation. And we agreed, and we just want our members, our partners, all of our chapters to know that when you do speak up, we are listening as a national organization, and we are more than happy to have Rosalind join the conversation and hear what her personal opinions are. For this reason and many more, it is my pleasure to welcome our special guest, Rosalind Guzman, who is going to co-moderate with me today. She is a licensed therapist and co-founder of Be More Counseling. She is going to help us guide our conversation while keeping our audience engaged, safe, educated, and hopefully empowered by the end of this hour. So with that being said, I am going to kick it off by introducing myself. If I haven't met you, I hope to at convention this year. My name is Felicia Gasparo, and I am the programs manager here on the Alpha National team. I am, specific to the topic we're going to be speaking about today, almost 3 years sober, a huge supporter of talk therapy, and an advocate to exercise for both physical and mental health purposes. You will not be disappointed with anything that you hear on today's session and with this amazing lineup that we have. And now I'm done listening to myself talk. So I would love to let our beautiful panelists briefly introduce themselves, and they're going to follow up their intro with what is your favorite or favorites self-care activities. So Humberto, will you kick us off?
For sure. Thank you, Felicia. So my name is Humberto Lozano, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Alpha New Jersey chapter. And then I also work for Bank of America. I'm a vice president, specifically in real estate finance. And some of the mental health activities that I like to partake in, number one is definitely socializing. So I'm always active with Alpha whenever it comes to coming to the in-person events and even executing some of those events. And then I also am a huge advocate for going to the gym, working out. So those are probably the two most important things related to mental health activities that I promote.
Thank you so much. And what about you, Esteban?
Thanks, Felicia. So my name is Esteban Torres. I'm part of the Charlotte chapter here in North Carolina. And I'm a part of the Student Affairs Committee, and I'm the Student Affairs Committee lead. I also work for Bank of America as a senior financial analyst, part of the real estate finance team as well. And yeah, something that I do for my mental health is working out. So I've been training on and off again for 9 years, since 2014, but consistently training 5 days a week for 4 years.
Thank you very much. And Emma, what about you?
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. My name is Emma Garcia, and I'm from Austin, Texas. We are a newly emerged, relaunched chapter. We launched on December 8th on Equal Latina Pay Day. And I am a mother, a single mother with full custody of 6 and 7-year-old boys. So mental health is very near and dear to me. I want to be my best self and my whole self for my children. And what helps me to promote that in my life is spending time in nature. I'm also a yogi. I was certified to teach yoga in 2010. So I've been a longtime practitioner of yoga, I practice meditation. I teach meditation and also pranayama, so breath awareness, breath connection. I'm the director of people and culture at a small company here in Austin called Z Prime. And what I'm passionate about and committed to is creating a culture of health and wellness where employees can show up as their whole self and know that they're safe and supported and valued and seen. And one of the ways that I've been able to do that at Z Prime was I received certification through the CDC for work at health training. And I'm interested in helping as many organizations implement best practices, policies, and procedures to be able to promote health and wellness in the workplace.
Thank you very much. And I'm now going to put Rosalind in the hot seat because I want to hear her professional answer to our icebreaker. How do you, as a professional in this environment, prioritize your self-care? What's your favorite activity?
Well, thank you for that question. Obviously, because I'm in this space, self-care is one of my favorite things to talk about and indulge in. And I'd say that for me, it changes based on the season. I'm based in New York, so right now we are having some great weather. So I love going out for just like walks in the park in the middle of my day to get away from my screen, to take a break from like all the things that I've been absorbing. In addition to listening to music, going to Bad Bunny concerts, listening to Beyonce. I am a regular human, y'all. So I do everything that I listen to my body based on what it needs in order like to just take care of myself.
Beautiful, beautiful answer. So thank you all for the introductions and how you prioritize self-care. Those are some great examples. I do want to say that all of our stories are different. Therapy is different for every individual and how that's defined in your space. We're all valued safe and special. We're going to be talking today about how all of these experiences have developed around the idea that you can maintain your proud Latin identity and also make sure that your mental and physical health are prioritized. So discussing how all of these individuals have leveraged that space. And with that, we are going to kick it off. So Humberto is going to take my first question. How early in life, if you can remember, did things defined as either traditional and or cultural start to become obvious to you? You know, there's a long list of what those things are, but when did you also realize that these traditions may not necessarily be aligned with not only your independence, but your current lifestyle and the adaptation of a healthier one?
Okay, wow, that's an interesting question, and it's also very deep. But before I answer the question, I want to say congrats to you for being 3 years sober, and you know,
Thank you very much.
and I'm really excited to be sharing the stage with you. I know we talked about this as CLS, so I identify myself as living a sobriety lifestyle as well. So I've been sober since 2018, and really what led me down that journey was I never really was very active with going out partying like around 2016 because I had started a master's program. I started a graduate program at Montclair State University. So right, because I was going to school, I had a full-time job in finance. I didn't really have any time to socialize, go to parties, or partake in drinking alcohol. So once I graduated, right, I decided I wanted to get a clearer focus on my career path, and I really wanted to focus on my career and advancing, right. So I decided that I was gonna stop drinking for about like 3 months, right. So once I completed the 3 months, right, then I did 6 months. After I did 6 months of not drinking, I was like, let me extend this for a year. So once I did the year, I was like, all right, I don't need a drink at all. I can still go to parties. I can still have fun. I can still connect with friends, and nothing will change. So I've been sober since 2018, and yeah, that I consider that as part of my lifestyle. Now, it wasn't until a few years ago that I realized that there was a connection between some cultural and traditional values that weren't really that I didn't really notice when I decided to stop drinking, but I did think it did influence me. to live a sober lifestyle. And thinking back when I was younger, right, being born Mexican American, um, alcohol and alcohol influence has played a big part in my upbringing, right? Growing up as a kid, right? Close family members and friends, seeing them go through struggles in life with alcoholism, and then seeing close relatives pass away due to alcoholism. And most recently, I've had a personal friend that passed away due to drug abuse. So I think all of these different things that I've experienced at a young age and even as an adult influence me in my decision to not partake in drinking any alcohol.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful answer. And thank you. Congratulations to you as well. You are my newly selected sober dance partner for the white party. So I'm coming for you.
Awesome.
And thank you very much.
Now, Esteban, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think that you faced any judgment for certain decisions that you made that were outside of the cultural norm?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think coming out as a young age as an openly gay Hispanic individual, it's not very accepting in the Latin community. And then when I started owning my truth, I was bullied a lot in high school, and started disliking aspects of myself and my identity. And it wasn't until I actually found my local gym that I still train at now. That it was just a place where I could work out with people, and they helped me feel accepted and who I was. Like my coach today, since my birthday is tomorrow, actually wore like a CrossFit Pride shirt, and it was a crop top because I kind of wear crop tops now. It's really fun because it's getting hot. But I think that's like a cultural norm that I never thought, like that's against the cultural norms, being out and who you are, and being down on yourself because you feel like you're the outcast, the zebra of the group. And I kind of just fully started accepting myself and thinking, you know what, this is what makes me unique. This is what makes me special. Talking to a therapist and just saying, is it me? Am I the weird one? Am I the odd one out? And I love that my therapist said, no, like you're doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. You are enough. And then hearing that from a third party, like non-biased individual, just confirmed to me that I'm my biggest critic, and if I can love myself, then that's all that really matters. But yeah, I did face a lot of stigma, a lot of backlash. But I think I beat a lot of odds, and I'm grateful for where I am now in my life and my career.
Thank you so much for that answer.
Of course, thanks so much.
And Emma, we're going to pivot to you. So thinking about not only cultural norms and traditional norms specific to the Latinx community, but creating new generational norms, maybe specific to Latinas, has your cultural past and any of those handed down expectations or what's considered normal for Latinas, has that affected your past or your present, and in what ways?
Absolutely. The societal expectations, specifically what comes to mind is like gender normative expectations, where as Latinas, we are the ones that take care of everyone else. We put ourselves on the back burner. We do not think or ask ourselves, what do I need? What do I want? Because the expectation is that you are caring for everyone in the household, everyone on the block, everyone at work. And so, yeah, that definitely was a social norm that I had to change my mindset around and resist and reject. And part of what that looked like was teaching myself that pausing to ask my heart, what do I need and what do I want, is not selfish. Mm-hmm. It felt selfish when I first started practicing that. I'll say another kind of social norm or cultural norm. I didn't have the word for anxiety. I didn't know that I suffered from anxiety. I went my entire life almost being someone who suffers from anxiety, but did not have the language for it because it just was not something that we talked about in the home. It was not something that we talked about in church. It was very much like you pray and it goes away and you'll be fine. So cognitive therapy was never an outlet or a resource that was encouraged. Exercise was not something that was encouraged to help me deal with and gain the skills and the tools to be able to manage anxiety. And the way that I resisted and rejected those social norms or cultural norms was by beginning to be a critical thinker. Like I thankfully, so a book that was very crucial for my kind of awakening was Codependent No More. I grew up in a household that had a lot of addiction in it. And it, well, not just in my household, but in my family, it's just kind of ran rampant. And so then on top of the gender normative expectations of serving others, there was also this other aspect of becoming codependent because of addiction. And so reading that book was a huge pivot for me in learning how to take care of myself, and knowing that in taking care of myself, especially now as a mother, I'm teaching my children that, like, you do you first, and then you can take care of other people. Know what you want, know what you need. And then obviously the yoga practice was instrumental in awakening of first and foremost, acknowledging that I'm already whole and complete, that I'm not lacking, and that I am safe, and I deserve to be loved, and I have a place where I belong. And so that self-acceptance was just very instrumental in helping me redefine for myself what was going to be prescribed in the way that I wanted to live my life.
Such a beautiful, beautiful answer. Full transparent thought. I actually had a conversation with a therapist of mine. That is my favorite book in the therapy space. Her and I call it the Therapy Bible. If anybody has any questions, just find Emma and I on LinkedIn, because
absolutely, I have all the notes.
Yeah, it's a fabulous book. I'm sure Rosalind can probably back us up on that one too.
I got suggestions too. Okay,
I know, so good. And Emma, then that being said, speaking about kind of those generational norms, I know that you and I spoke at CLS as well, and congrats on the emerging chapter. We're so excited. What are some ways that in your personal practice that you plan on helping the socioeconomic gap specifically for Latinas that are looking to get into the yoga space or the exercise space?
Right. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's definitely, it's not just the gender norms that we're having to push it back against, where like you feel guilty as a Latina to take care of yourself because you're supposed to be taking care of everyone else. And so then we don't make the time to prioritize our own mental, physical, spiritual, emotional needs. But also the neighborhood, just on a really personal, practical level, the neighborhood that I live in is a very diverse neighborhood. I'm very grateful to live in this neighborhood here in just west of Austin near the lake. And we have a large population of Latinas who are from a lower socioeconomic status. And I teach the community yoga class at for our HOA. And although it's a diverse community, it's not very, like, we have trouble with bringing all different people of different colors, different backgrounds together. So it can still feel very segregated. And one of the objectives that I set in mind when I started making the yoga class an offering for the community was that I was not going to even make it donation based. It's a free offering, because I didn't want that to be a barrier to access for anyone that was coming from a lower socioeconomic status. And they already have the extra burden of like this expectation that they take care of everyone else and not themselves. So that's something that I'm proud of. I'm proud of bringing community together and making this practice that's been instrumental in my mental health awareness and in my self-acceptance available to people that may have not have had access to it before.
So outstanding. And on behalf of all the Latinas in Austin, thank you for the free yoga class. I can't wait to come and take it.
Yay.
Okay, let me see. I think we're going to switch to Umberto. Rosalind's going to take that for me.
Yes, and Emma, I just want to emphasize what Felicia said. That's such a beautiful way of you also introducing a practice to communities that also have like preconceptions about yoga. Like, you know, when you think about yoga, you think you got to be like flexible and bendy, and actually, you don't have to be any of those to actually like reap the benefits of that practice. So, thank you for doing that. I just, wanted to add that in there. Now, Umberto, I'm going to come back to you. I want to ask you about some of the things that you shared earlier today. Do you feel that you lost any of the things that are culturally important to you when you made the decision to prioritize your sobriety?
Yeah, very good question. So my sobriety journey was actually a journey, right? And I think in the beginning, it was hard, right? Because right, being Mexican American, being Latino, right, you get invited to parties, right? So at the beginning, my approach was I want to avoid any events or any venue that's going to have alcohol involved, right? Because it was contrary to what I was trying to achieve at the time. So I pretty much excluded myself from a lot of social gatherings, even family events, right? And I was just like closed in. It wasn't until I um, I made sobriety as my lifestyle that I became more comfortable in, going out to parties, and going out to events, and finally realizing that I don't have to be sober. I don't have to avoid these events. I can still, be myself, be sober, and still partake in social events where there is alcohol being consumed.
Yeah, definitely. And I applaud you for making that change. I recently, for Lent, gave up like alcohol
Mhm.
because I wanted to like challenge myself. And I discovered that as well. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I
Yeah,
can attend some of these events and have fun and engage socially without alcohol. So it's truly inspiring to hear your story.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. And one of the benefits of it, right, is like, and this is really, I look at not drinking alcohol as like a cheat code too, right? Because you could literally, like, you could literally stay up late, right? And the next day, because you didn't consume any alcohol, you really don't have any hangover. So you can still wake up like 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And it's a true testament to a very good lifestyle living. So
I learned that too.
mhm.
Fantastic. And I agree as well. And I, like Emma, am a single mom. So for me, the sobriety, its benefits are really highlighted in how I'm present for my daughter personally and professionally. And Umberto, I think we're just as fun not
Oh
drinking.
yeah,
So,
oh yeah, for sure.
those are my thoughts. Now I have a question for all of you, so we can kind of pivot back and forth, but it's kind of an all question. How has tradition changed or evolved for you, adopting new generational norms and a healthier lifestyle? So, how have things that you see as traditional changed in any way?
I can take a
Yeah.
stab at it for the first one. Yeah, I would say within my family, ever since I had involuntary hospitalization due to having mental episodes, and I've noticed that my family is definitely more open in checking with each other on how everyone's doing, more like pulse checking. Is everyone okay? How's everyone dealing with stress? I'm asked by my mom quite often, hey, how are you doing, honey? I know you're juggling a lot, you're volunteering, you're talking to people, you're working a lot, it's busy season for you. How are you doing? Are you talking to your therapist? Are you doing okay? And I think that's become our new family norm, where in the past we would just, I think the norm was just don't talk about it. Like it's stress, it's normal, it's work. You're gonna get through it. You're gonna, it's just the way of life. And I think no, we've all like, I love that my mom has, you know, she took a random beach trip this weekend and she took time for herself and the family that were able to go. And we focus more on our own self-health, and we're like, hey, it's okay if I tell my mom, hey, I can't make it to dinner even though you're only 15 minutes away. I'm super stressed. Like I need my mental space for myself. I don't have the mental emotional bandwidth. And she's like, oh, that's totally fine, honey. I'll see you when you get time. Like instead of before in the past, it was like, it felt more like a personal attack of like, oh, why aren't you having dinner with us? Like you don't love us. And comments like that were said, like not intentionally to be mean, but that's was just how we played around. Where now it's, oh, we understand, like it's totally acceptable. We still love you. Like we get it. Your job is stressful, and you're doing so many different things. You know, we're still here for you. We love you. Jump on a FaceTime when you can. That's our new normal. And like, I love that we can talk about that kind of stuff where we're all emotionally and physically there for each other, even if we're not with each other. So, yeah.
I love that. It definitely takes a village. And cheers to your family for kind of rallying around everyone and making it a team effort. That definitely helps a lot. Emma or Umberto, do you have any ways that tradition has changed or evolved for you since adopting a healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, I can jump in on that one. So definitely going out right with Alpha. There's a lot of social events that we do, even beyond our events. There's like after party spots that we do, but it's become a common theme around my close friends that like we joke around with it a lot as well, and it's now become the norms. So like whenever like a friend wants to get together after an event or at a bar or at a lounge, they'll sell me on it by saying they'll get me like a top shelf like pineapple juice drink or something. So we use it to like joke around, but it's becoming normal, and I had a friend, an alpha friend, actually. I'm gonna shout him out. Actually, it's Amir. So Amir recently, came to my apartment. We had dinner or whatever, and I have like a non-alcoholic beverages, right? So I offered him some, right, and he was surprised to uh, to know how good it tastes, right? So I think being sober and just living that lifestyle, I think that's going to be very popularized in the next coming years. And I think what we're doing is shedding light on it. I think we're also probably going to influence a lot of people that you can still live this lifestyle and you could be the change, right, to break this norm, right, and ultimately it's just going to be better for you because you're going to live a healthier life.
100%. And it's all about the emotional sobriety for me. If there's any emotionally sober people out there, that's like this extra big thing that came right along with just the not drinking. So that's what I'm most proud of. Are there any traditions that have changed for you?
Well, I want to echo what Umberto just said. I think this conversation is a part of that transformation, that cultural transformation that's taking place. I think on our kickoff call, you mentioned that Alpha National had not hosted a space for this particular subject before. Is that right? On a national level? Like,
Yep,
this is transformative. Yeah, I think these conversations, creating safe space where people can come together and know that they're being seen in a way that maybe they've never been seen before, that we can talk about the changes that are taking place, the changes that need to take place, and destigmatize mental health communication is a cultural shift. And then I guess on a personal note, I'm encouraged by Gen Z. I want to hear more from them. I want to see more of them because they are game changers when it comes to societal norms. I think to me, they are like yogis. So one of the principles in yoga is that we see as we are, and Gen Z sees themselves in everyone. At least that's my perception, is that they see themselves in everyone. And so that ability to empathize is helping break down some barriers to communicating around mental health, to promoting healthy lifestyles, and to creating safe spaces.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm going to kind of skip over this next question, Rosalind, if that's okay, because I feel like Emma just kind of read our minds and gave us a beautiful answer to our next question that we had for you. So Esteban, we're going to shift to you. Talking about stigma, and I know we've touched on it a little bit. There are tons that come along with every demographic and every cultural environment, but specific to sort of the identities in which you define yourself, how are you working to break certain stigmas and make it a more comfortable experience to ask for help and assistance while adopting things like working out, things against those cultural norms? You mentioned your family. Are there any other ways that you are advocating for breaking certain stigmas?
Yeah, Felicia, that's a good question. I would say trying to be as visible as I can in the community, either through promotion to younger professionals or students. I try my best, again, being the Student Affairs Committee lead in the Charlotte Professional Chapter for Alpha. I think when I talk to students, I mention, you don't have to work 12-hour days to advance yourself right out of school. Ask your company if they have resources to talk to professionals if you're feeling alone or stressed, or how can they help you if you feel like you're just not enough. And I vocalize that to them to let them know, like, it may seem on social media that people's lives are perfect. They have the perfect car or apartment or house or job. But that's the reality they want you to see. So I try to tell them, remember, where you are right now in your life is where you're meant to be, and that's totally okay. Like, try not to live to the expectations that you see online, and just kind of reground them with, they're doing their best, they should be proud, I'm proud, I don't even know them. And like, I think, what would I tell my younger self? And I think that's what I try to do to the community, to, kind of break that stigma, let people know, hey, exercise is fun, exercise is cool. Find what you're into and find a group of people that will allow you to be yourself in that space. But yeah, those are a few of the things that I've done to kind of break the stigma and get myself out there and just continue to change the mold. Yeah.
Those are amazing ways. Thank you so much for being an advocate and an ally and truly authentic to all the different ways that you want to represent yourself. It's beautiful. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to add that Esteban is very active in the community. I just sometimes go to lunch with him outside. We'll walk into a venue or a place, and then random people will randomly say hi to Esteban. This guy's like the mayor of the city in Charlotte.
They do that to him too, by the way. Just saying.
Come on, I'm gonna hit you up when I'm in Charlotte.
We got you.
The mayor, okay?
We got you, Rosalind. Listen.
Awesome. Now, talking about stigmas, Humberto, with certain topics of conversation currently being stigmatized, especially amongst Latinos, what do you think helps you break the stigmas with confidence?
Yeah. So the first thing that I can think of is really just having the utmost confidence in myself, right? Just thinking about how I grew up, the environment that I came from. I look back at it all the time and say, I'm really not supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? From growing up in a very urbanized area where not too many people make it out from, and then even the environment that I was with close friends, family. So I look at it like I'm playing with house money now. Like, I have a really good job. I have really good friends. My family is very supportive. So, just having the confidence in myself, being very close to my family and friends. There's very close friends that I look at for advice, that camaraderie, and even trust. Right. And then the third piece is alpha, right? Being able to execute events, having that network to fall back on, Shout out to Alpha, New Jersey. And yeah, I think all of those three things, help me, break the stigma.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. And Emma, we're going to kind of ask you a similar question. And I'm also going to shout out Yalin. Thank you for your comment. She's thanking Emma for talking about Latinidad and yoga that is normally targeted towards people who have a higher income. So she's thanking you for your gifted class. And based on that comment, knowing that certain types of extracurriculars, whether it's marathons or gym memberships, like the gentlemen are talking about, yoga, personal training, etc. Typically, these things may be considered a luxury or a nice to have to the Latinx community. So thinking about your gifted class that you're already doing for the community, that's breaking the cycle. But what have those opportunities done for your physical and mental health when they were made an opportunity for you?
Well, I touched on it a little bit earlier about the gift of self-acceptance that, or the awakening that I experienced through yoga, where, I mean, it was a very powerful moment. Those of you who practice yoga, you know what Shavasana is. Mm-hmm. It's the very last pose where the goal is to integrate the entire experience and assimilate it in your body, in your physical body, in your emotional body, in your spiritual body. And I just was a puddle of tears. I was like just bawling in Shavasana. That was my first yoga class. So there was something that just like, it was like a fire that was in me that had diminished to such an extent that I didn't see it. And that class reignited the light to where I realized I am good, I am enough, and I'm whole. I'm not lacking. And so that was, I guess, my biggest takeaway from my yoga practice. And can you remind me what I'm supposed to be answering? I'm sorry. The question was.
That's okay. That's okay. No. Just continue. Yeah, you are now kind of opening the doors and breaking down a lot of barriers for those in your community by hosting a free class and opportunity. Yeah. So not necessarily that same opportunity was given to you, but what has yoga done for you? So you answered it beautifully. It was perfect.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
It brought me back home. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Emma, everything that you're saying like deeply resonates. I'm bopping my head like extremely hard over here. Humberto, I'm gonna come back to you again, and I have another question around like how you manage to prioritize your mental and physical health, right, without compromising your work-life balance.
Yeah, so one of the things that I do is I incorporate a lot of mental health wellness into my lifestyle. So, for example, I was really into meditating, and then for quite some time I got off of it, right? But recently, with having this, through so we were planning the regional tech summit, me and several alpha leaders, and then we created a fit challenge, right? So that fit challenge sparked like a new desire for me to continue working out, continue to go to the gym. So now that I do that every day, I basically run to the gym, right? So that's like my pre-workout. That's how I get warmed up. My gym is maybe about like a mile away from where I live. So I'll run to the gym, I'll work out, and then my walk back is about 20 minutes. And I use that walk back as my meditation, and it's very relaxing. So now every day, right, I try going to the gym, right, and I've been successful so far, but essentially because I'm incorporating meditation now to my workouts, I feel like I'm not losing anything, right? I'm pretty much maximizing and being efficient with the time. So by incorporating it into my lifestyle, I think it becomes easier. And it's a way that I can make sure that I'm on the right track.
Sounds like you have a really good routine going. I know that a lot of us also come from like hustle culture, right? Where we witness our parents just like working multiple jobs and working really long hours and sacrificing like a lot of family time. And they didn't really have the luxury to like pour back into themselves. And while we obviously prioritize our career and like want to be successful, like it's inspiring to hear that you're prioritizing both. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful answer. And we could sit here and talk all day, but I want to make sure that we not only get to hear from our beautiful special guests, but leave a little bit of time for Q&A. So I'm going to pivot a little bit. And my last question for our panel is going to be for Esteban before I switch gears and Rosalind is in the hot seat as a panelist. So Esteban, in your opinion, for those on the call that may not be a part of the Latinx community, but either a spouse, an ally, a friend, or potentially a professional leader, how can those individuals, in your opinion, best be supportive of the Latinx community, like members of yourself, trying to break down these stigmas and health barriers?
That's a good question. I would say if you don't identify as a Latinx or Hispanic individual and you are an ally to the community in any way, I would just say, if someone's stressed or, talking about their workout experience or what their struggles of dieting or whatever have you, I would say just let them know like you're there for them and you can empathize, try and empathize. They're a human. Like Rosalind said in the beginning, we're all human. But remember that like, people are going through different struggles. They might not be willing to disclose the stresses that are happening into their lives, but just letting them know that you're there as a supportive human. And if they want to open up, that you're a safe space for them, or you can help them find the resources that are available to them. Again, therapy, fitness, walking, healthy eating and habits. I think those are some good examples that allies for the Latinx community, any community really, just let them know like you're there for them and that tell them they're enough and they're loved and we'd miss them if they weren't present in any way. So yeah, I think those are just important messages that people should know.
That's a great answer and a very, Emma, non-codependent way of being very supportive. So Esteban, it seems like you may have read our book. It's a very good answer.
Send me the link. Send me the link.
So now we are all going to switch. And if you did see the ticker on the bottom, our beautiful marketing team is reminding everyone in the audience to please leave your comments and questions. The engagement is beautiful. But if you do have anything specific for Rosalind or any of our panelists, free to drop those questions in the chat and we will be sure to flash the screen and I will navigate those questions. But for right now, we have some specific questions for Rosalind so we can hear in her professional opinion what some resources and tools are that we can take away from today's discussion. So thank you so much for being here again and joining us. My first question is going to be, what specific advice do you have for those looking to advocate for Latinx mental health awareness? And in your professional opinion, how does mental health awareness sort of challenge certain Latino barriers? And how can we, as a community, be better advocates for that change? And apologies, that was like 3 questions in one, but I would love to hear your answer.
I will try my best to capture all 3, and I think that they're all pretty much similar, and I love all of the questions. In an overview, I'd start by saying that advocacy is really an ongoing journey, right? And change takes time. I know that there's been many strides that's been made in our communities to like talk about mental health and just like raise awareness, but it's super helpful for each of us to also kind of recognize the role that we play and like support those initiatives and organizations that focus on serving the Latinx community, right? There are so many folks out there that are doing such a good job in order to like access wellness services like Emma, right? Where she's offering yoga to a community that might not necessarily be have the luxury to like afford that. Attend those events, donate, volunteer, ask to collaborate. I want to say that the latest stat is that between 6 and 7% of therapists in the U.S. identify as Latinx. I think that's still a really small number compared to like our population here. So I know that Alpha is great at engaging like the community. If there's anyone who's like interested in the psychology field, encourage them to go in there. We need more Latinx therapists who are able to like connect with our people. I am biased and I say that no one takes care of us the way that we take care of us. And on a micro level, I want to say that like challenging members of our community when they're unintentionally furthering the stigma. I say this with a lot of love, right? Like, yes, we can make space and offer compassion for people who just like don't have the tools, and we have the power to like educate as well. So for example, if I hear one of my tias saying like, Roslyn, why are you complaining? Like, you have such an easier life than me. Like, I had to start cooking at 6 or 7 years old. Like, why do you feel sad? Like, or I hear them saying that to my cousin, like, I will kindly just like inject myself, right, with a lot of love and compassion and say, like, that person's concern is valid. Like, let's make space for that. Let's make space to support it. Because there are many things that just have been a part of our culture that haven't necessarily been helpful, but we have the power to create change. I identify as a cycle breaker, and what essentially that means is just like kind of disrupting some of the intergenerational trauma that's existed in like a lot of our families.
I love that answer. I feel my signature getting longer and I love identify as a cycle breaker. You know, we need a little for something. That's a great one.
I love it.
You got it. You're on it. My next question is going to be, how does one deal with the lack of support from potential community, their families and their friends for the changes that they're making? They support their own mental health. How can somebody deal with that lack of support?
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of us here on the panel really share this perspective, which is, you know, first we start with seeking that validation with ourselves. I always like to tell my clients, like, what is your North Star, right? Essentially, like, what is your why? What's guiding you? Why did you make that change in the first place to begin with? Humberto was like, you know, I wake up on the weekends feeling super energized because I don't have a hangover. Like, that's part of your why, because you want to show up in the world differently. You want your life to feel a specific type of way. So like, always stay close, always stay true to that answer. I'd also just say, like, look for those individuals who like understand and support your journey. There's a lot of cycle breakers out there. You see, even us, Felicia, we just like connected, that are kind of like walking along the same journey. Seek that support, lean into that support. My favorite, set boundaries. Okay.
Mhm.
I am living the truth that you can set boundaries with your families and they're able to respect it. So if there are certain comments that don't make you feel good, you can kindly tell people that that doesn't necessarily align with where you are. I'll give an example. Like, I'm Dominican, and my culture, like, when you walk in through a door, like, the first thing that someone says is, what are you looking at? Like, the day, like, oh, tú te ves más flaquita, o tú te ves más gordita, o tú te ves más bonita. And I had to have a conversation, like, with my family, like, hey, y'all, I love you guys. I want to come through and I want to spend time with you all, but I'd really appreciate it if when I walk into that door, like, I'm just greeted with a hug and a hello, and it's so nice to see you, versus like saying something about like how I look. And it's, you know, you'll be surprised. Like, let's give people the benefit of the doubt, like, that they can receive that information, that they can support the path that we're walking on. And, you know, lastly, just like practice a lot of just like self-compassion. I think Esteban said it, like, we can be our biggest critics, and that's absolutely true. We are so harsh on ourselves. So, you know, affirmations are one of my favorite things. Spread kind messages to you. It's important and it goes a long way.
I love that. I love that. Sobriety comes with a lot of boundaries in itself. And thankfully, my family has respected that. Setting a lot, you know, I can't come to that. I don't feel comfortable here. Giving yourself the space to be able to leave. Certain things like that have definitely spearheaded the boundary decisions. And as a recovering codependent, that's definitely a little hard to do, but creating your own space and safety is definitely essential. I love that tip. Thank you so much. And then my last question for Rosalind before we answer some from the audience in our limited time is, if I was a listener or if I am somebody in the audience and that before the session or when the session started, I felt silence, but now I'm feeling elevated and empowered, where do I start, Rosalind?
Well, I really love that question because first, I want to remind everyone that's listening that taking any step to prioritize your well being is such a courageous act. Like, we have decisions every day, and when we choose to do something for ourselves, that's a really big deal. And a first step can look like downloading a meditation app or going to YouTube and searching up like 10-minute gentle yoga classes, or it looks like, signing up for the gym because you want to just be more active, or even starting therapy, right? I'm very aware that there's still a lot of like stigmas around therapy, and folks usually think that they will either be analyzed by the person that's on the other end, or they're going to be like laying in some cozy, comfy couch. I do not have one of those, by the way. But I am here to spread the word that in today's world, like, we have choices, we have preferences, and that's really a lot of the inspiration behind my work and why the business that I have exists. Right? We are deserving of a fulfilling life, and we can definitely find the people that can support us and understand us and see us and hear us. For example, if you're interested in starting therapy, you can use a directory like latinxtherapy.com. Like, things like that exist where all the therapists that are listed on that directory identify as Latinx. So you don't have to explain, like, how you were translating documents at 6 and 7 years old. You can filter by your state, by your insurance, any specialties, and I'm happy to share those links so that they can also just be spread with the whole community, so you can have access and take a look.
Of course. Thank you, Rosalind. And that being said, Hafet was sharing your beautiful website at the bottom for anyone who's interested in contacting Rosalind. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you reach out to anybody on the Alpha National team, we would be more than happy to get you her information personally, an info Dropbox, and ways of contacting her. In addition to everyone on this panel, and myself included, you can find us all on LinkedIn and reach out with any personal questions that you may have. And then in the 8 minutes that we have left, I want to make sure that we tackle some of the things coming through from the audience. So I do have one great question that came from, let me find it, one moment. Hafet, can you flash it for me? Josue, thank you so much for your question. In your experiences for the panel, how would you go about time management when having many different responsibilities to tend to so that you avoid staying overwhelmed? Esteban, go for it.
Okay, so I love seeing Jose's question. So he, I believe, goes to UNC Charlotte, and we've run into each other a few times. That's a great question. Time management, how do I juggle all of the volunteering, extracurriculars, job, family, personal life? My little journal. My journal, like actually writing things down. I have a page, one a day, and I like to do it that way because if it's a new day, I have a new sheet. I have like deliverable tasks, at least for work. I did that kind of thing on like a digital calendar on my work phone, on my personal phone, sorry, when I was in school, and I found that I couldn't like cross things off. And the satisfaction of literally crossing off a task you've completed that you've had on your little calendar all day is so satisfying. I would just say invest in a journal. I got it on Amazon. I got it as a gift actually, and I use it every single day for work tasks, and it's amazing. It's a game changer. I would say that's a good way of like also grounding yourself and saying that you don't have to do 10. You don't have 10 million things, even though you think you do. You really have 10 or 5, and then you can prioritize, reshift, move them to the next day, or just cross them off altogether. That's what's allowed me to keep track of my daily task and not feel as overwhelmed as I think I am. And then a digital calendar on my personal phone that will ping my watch. It'll say, hey, you have to take lunch. And yes, I put my lunches on my calendar, on my personal calendar, so I know, like, hey, I got to slow down. It's time to eat. Like, you're doing too much. But yeah, I would say those are some of the things that I do to prioritize my time and not feel as overwhelmed or stressed.
Those are great tips and tricks. And then Emma, we're going to call on you next. But Esteban, I need you to slack me in the background on how you keep your tasks to one page.
Yeah, I know.
I need to know how to do that. I don't know. How do you fit it in one page?
You got to write really small.
Yeah, right.
I do write small. That's true.
Okay, Emma, how are you making sure you don't get overwhelmed by all the things that come in a day?
So Rosalind spoke to this earlier. She used the key term boundaries. And I'll add to that term core values and rituals. So if you start with heart and ask yourself, what do I love? You will take care of what you love. We prioritize the things that we love. What is important to me? Get very clear about what you stand for and what you will not stand for. And that will help you to manage your time so that you're not wasting your time on things that do not align with your core values. And when we for a sustained period of time are doing things that do not align with our core values, that's when we burn out. And that's when, things start to slip through the cracks, like self-care. So ritual comes in for me, the moment I wake up in bed, I do mantra. There are specific messages that I tell myself every single morning before I even open my eyes. Those first 30 minutes when you wake up will set the tone for your entire day. And then I handle it incrementally. Like, what kind of day do I want to have today? How do I want to show up in the world today? And at the beginning of the week on Monday, what kind of week do I want to have this week? How am I going to show up in the world this week? So, and I say incrementally, but I guess it's exponentially, right? So I start to zoom out. But at a micro level, those first 30 minutes in the morning, establishing a ritual so that you are able to take care of yourself before you take care of all the other things. And you will be your best self. You will show up as your whole self to take care of those things.
And Humberto, as we finish up here, do you have any ways that you steer away from being overwhelmed in the day-to-day?
Yeah, I think Emma touched on it as well. It's for me, it's more looking at focusing on preventative care as well. So I know when I'm about to have go through a run where I'm not going to feel good, or I'm going to go through maybe a downturn. So before I get there, I kind of know what triggers to look out for. So I start working on it. And believe it or not, that really does help in making sure you have the proper balance. You maintain a really good health lifestyle. And then another thing that I do is I also make time to be able to just not focus on anything. Even at work, I have about 30 minutes where it's just desk time scheduled on my calendar. And that's very pivotal, right? Because at work, you can have a whole list of things that you need to accomplish. And even when you cross off a few, there's still others that you might get throughout the day, right? So I think allowing yourself enough time to be able to have that mental clarity and be able to just, figure out how to alleviate the stress level, I think that goes a long way with making sure you're on the path to a healthy lifestyle.
Great answers all around. Thank you so much. We have one last question that's a little off topic, but I believe that cooking is also a form of therapy. And before I ask it, I'm going to shout out Yalin again that yes, at Convention Deer, we will have some types of wellness activities planned throughout to make sure that we are all checking in and staying mentally safe and sound while we're in the long haul of convention. So there will be wellness activities built in to that cadence and agenda. And then our last question of the day before I thank everyone is for the panel and Rosalind. What types of dishes, I guess, if any, what traditional plate do you cook on a weekly and or daily basis?
So I do a heavy protein, whether it's steak, bison, or even chicken tenderloins with carrots and broccoli. So that's what a typical dish will consist of during the week.
I'd like to say that I cook roasted chickpea salad with goat cheese every week. I don't. I love that recipe. Y'all need to try it. It is so good. Roasted chickpea salad with goat cheese and fire roasted pita bread. But I am the mother of a 6 and 7-year-old, so we eat a lot of spaghetti.
Nice.
Quesadillas.
Nice. I just make a pretty boring salad. I do like a pre-packaged like shipping service for dinner because I don't know how to cook. Abuela cooks the best, so I go over to her house for food. But I do like to bake, so baking is like kind of my food therapy, and I bake like chocolate chip cookies.
Yum. And Roslyn, what about you?
I try to switch up my menu here and there, but one thing that I consistently have to have every week, like I said, I am Dominican, and if you know anything about Dominicans, is that we love plátanos. So I make a mango at least one time a week, and it's just like mashed plantains, and I'll have it with like some eggs and a little slice of cheese, and I'm good.
Yum, yum. And then as you all are talking, I'm trying to think. My partner, against a norm, does more of the cooking in my household than I do. So it's kind of whatever he comes up with. He's super inventive and creative. So I haven't had a bad thing yet. So whatever he brings out of the kitchen is what we're having. And that's super fun in our house. So as we wrap up, we're a little bit over, but I want to say I'm truly honored to have been invited to share the stage with you all. And thank you so much, Roslyn, for joining us and sharing your personal and professional experiences. Again, if anybody on the call in the audience, in the Alpha membership, would like Roslyn's contact information, recipes, here I am, recipes that anyone shared, Roslyn's contact information, website, any ways to get a hold of her, please let me know. We can link you up. Thank you so much for the vulnerability and transparent conversation and letting us know how you find it super important to stay true to your Latino identity while also making sure that you are always prioritizing yourselves first. So thank you all very much. And I hope everyone in the audience is feeling better. Here's a little slide of how to contact the beautiful Roslyn and let us know if there's anything we can do. Thank you everyone for watching us today. Have an empowering day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.